But they have moved a significant distance, but they're very grudgingly moving in that direction. I mean, Marcus Borg is honest enough to admit that the apostles, he can't call them hallucinations. The hallucination theory of Jesus' resurrection has been refuted. I'll talk about that more tomorrow when I provide evidence for Christ's resurrection from the dead. So he refers to the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus as apparitions. He says, I don't believe in the empty tomb. Who knows what happened there? So, I mean, when you're as far left as you can possibly get and remain a scholar, and you're coming this close to acknowledging of the Son of God, argues that the ancient words for resurrection used by the Greeks and the Jews, that whether you believed in resurrection or not, the words for resurrection meant a literal bodily resurrection. So the Pharisees who believed in a resurrection of the righteous at the end of the age, they believed in a literal bodily resurrection. The Sadducees who rejected a bodily resurrection, when they used the word resurrection, they meant a bodily resurrection, and then they said, and I don't believe in that. And Greek Platonic philosophers who denied a bodily resurrection, when they used the word resurrection, they meant a bodily resurrection, and they said they denied it. So in other words, when the Jesus Seminar says, yes, Paul did write about resurrection of Jesus, but he meant a spiritual resurrection, N.T. Wright says, no, that doesn't hold any water. Because whenever anybody in ancient times, Paul included, talked about a resurrection, whether they agreed with it or not, they always meant a bodily resurrection. And Paul proclaims the resurrection of Jesus, therefore he proclaims the bodily resurrection of Jesus. Whatever the case, these guys received much media coverage, okay? The three big guns, John Dominic Crossan, Robert Funk, and Marcus Borg. Borg is now the big guy. He doesn't even have to do any teaching anymore. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars just writing books. And they're not as scholarly as they used to be either, because it's becoming popular because of all the media attention. But these guys, they originally had 200 members. Then they went down to about 74. Now I hear they got about 250 now, because they're not real picky about the level of scholarship. So they're inviting their buddies like Bishop Spong, Rescuing the Bible from Fundamentalism. But whatever the case, they vote on which sayings of Jesus were authentic. Isn't that great? Let's vote on what happened in history, okay? Let's see. We don't, you got some people who do that kind of thing. I mean, you got white Aryan supremacist wacko groups that come together and agree the Holocaust never happened. Does that change history? No. History isn't decided by majority vote or what people you choose to hang out with, okay? They consider the Gospel of Thomas on the same level as the four Gospels. Gospel of Thomas was written probably sometime between 140 and 170 A.D. Dan Brown loves the Gospel of Thomas. It was written by a Gnostic heretic who had the audacity to try to pretend he was the Apostle Thomas when he wrote it, okay? And basically, since Gnosticism, ancient Gnosticism, salvation through secret knowledge, and more of a New Age version of Christianity is more to the liking of the Jesus Seminar, they like this book. So it's not that they elevate this book, they lower their assessment of the Gospels to the low level of the Gospel of Thomas. And so you can go to Barnes & Noble and buy the five Gospels, published in 1993. Red ink, Jesus definitely said it. Pink, he probably said it. Gray, he possibly said it. And black, he definitely did not say it, okay? So you see a lot of gray and black ink, okay? They didn't cost, I could have paid the bill. I'm not a rich man. I could have paid the bill for the red and pink ink because there's just not a whole lot of it there, okay? So that's what the Jesus Seminar is. And those are the guys, sometimes they'll even admit it. They'll have the guy's name, and underneath it'll say the Jesus Seminar. Okay? So sometimes you can spot these guys a mile away. Whatever the case, they are a small radical branch of New Testament scholarship. The majority, if you want to look at European scholars today, they sound like, okay, they sound like Dr. Carlson, they sound like me, they sound like Marshall, and you think they're evangelicals until you ask them, well, what are your personal beliefs? And then you get answers like, well, I don't know, I just choose to remain skeptical about such issues. Okay? So what's wrong with it? The Gospel of John, no red. Nothing that Jesus definitely said, and only one pink, only a few gray. They have taken the Gospel of John and thrown it in the trash can. Current European cutting-edge scholarship, they're taking a second look at the Gospel of John. Okay? By the way, they talk about supposed discrepancies between the four Gospels, therefore we need to throw them out. Okay? If I had 4 different witnesses telling me that some guy got beat up, and this gentleman said, yeah, this guy got beat up by 2 guys, and then you tell me that this guy got beat up by this one guy, okay, and then you say, yeah, this guy got beat up and there were 3 guys there and stuff like that. Hey, there's one fact that I've established. Some guy got beat up, okay, and there were a few people there, okay, and now we could figure out what exactly is going on. 2 angels at the tomb. Another gospel says 1 angel at the tomb spoke and said something. We didn't say only one was there. It's not a contradiction. It's just we're getting 4 different perspectives. And when you look at the gospels have in common, which is what a good law enforcement officer will do when he does an investigation, they all talk about only 15 sayings of Jesus are red-lettered. It's amazing, but with the exception of Borg and Crossan and Funk and a few others who for some weird reason have earned respect in general in New Testament scholarship, for the most part, the Jesus Seminar is a joke to New Testament scholars. Every once in a while, a guy will present a paper, somebody will contest it at a professional society meeting on New Testament scholarship, and so the guy presenting the paper will say, okay, well, let's take a vote on it, and then everybody laughs. They're joking about these guys, okay? Yet, Peter Jennings wants us to believe these guys are cutting edge. This is what New Testament scholarship has proven. No, these are the guys that just refuse to go where the facts are leading them, whereas the N.T. Wrights and the Larry Hurtados and the Ben Witherington III, those guys are going where the facts lead, and it's basically leading us to the true Jesus of the Bible. He is the Jesus of history.